All right, we're live.
Welcome to All Point Sports from all around the world with a special guest tonight. This is a special edition. You know, we're regularly on every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. We're on 9 p.m. tonight with our special guest. He's originally born in Queens, New York. He's now in Long Island, New York. He's a big Mets fan. And we're talking MLB preview part 2 with our special guest, comedy star Chris Monty. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, Doc, how are you? Sorry it took me 4 weeks to get on.
Well, I understand that there was a little kid delivering the newspaper, and you said, "Hey, you know about that internet?" And he taught you how to get on.
Don't try to use this system with your phone. That was the problem. I was on the road trying to use my cell phone. Now I'm in my home base with my laptop.
Very nice to have you tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And MLB has started. We've seen we did the preview show last week before the first games, and now we've seen a few games, and now we're doing part 2. But we've seen some things that maybe not we didn't want to see. But your team, the Mets, they opened up big. Scherzer, 11 strikeouts. Big game for him. He did show some suspect with one rough inning, but he mowed him down. Tonight, they're having a rough time. Yesterday, a rough time. What's going on with the Mets?
Age and no bats. I think that's the problem. Scherzer, tonight as we're watching, we're broadcasting, he's losing 4-0. He just gave up a home run before we came on the air. I don't know, man. After last year, remember last year when Scherzer, about a week before the season ended, Scherzer was pitching a no-hitter, and I forget who it was against. I think it was against Washington, and then they pull him out of the game, and he was at 80-something pitches, 89 pitches, and they pulled him out in the 7th inning or the 6th inning, and everybody's like, oh, I hate baseball today. Scherzer, you could let him go. Let him pitch the no-hitter. Who cares, No, we're saving him. We're saving him for, the playoffs. And what happened the next week? They played the Braves in the last weekend of the season, needed to get one win in that 3-game series. They got swept. Scherzer got killed, and the other big arm got killed, Bassett. And then they played the San Diego Padres in the wild card round, and they all got beat except for DeGrom. But Scherzer and Bassett got killed. I think Scherzer might be on the he's on the back end, obviously, of his career. He's 38 years old. Verlander's already hurt. They got some good hope with this the Japanese pitcher that we picked up, Senga. But what I'm hearing with Senga is in Japan they only pitch once a week. In major leagues we pitch more than once a week. We pitch every 5 days, so that could be a problem for them. Like we were talking about before we came on the air. They don't score runs. This is a layover from last year. The Mets don't score runs. Last year they got it done with pitching. They won close games because the bullpen saved them, and Diaz came in and he was lights out. Right? They can win 1-run games. They can win 2-run games. Now, they're losing 5-0 tonight. They're losing games, by 1 run. They can't manifest runs, and I don't know what they're going to do about that. They can't let this go too long. I think what they have to do personally is bring the kids up early. Bring Alvarez up. Bring Vientos up, bring Batty up. These kids are knocking the cover off the ball, and don't make us wait till August and bring them up. Bring them up now, before we start booing these old guys,
Yeah, I've seen it go this way too many times for the Mets, and every year it's like the old saying in football, the pack is back. Well, I don't know about this Mets team. They spent a lot of money in the offseason. Lindor is maybe it's just a little too cool yet. It warmed up today. We expect the bats. Maybe it's a little cool in Milwaukee. What do you say about?
They got a dome. Don't they have a retractable?
When the Mets are getting a run and a half on Caesar's app last night, it just was a telltale sign that it may be a rough night, and it surely was.
And listen. They lost 10-0 yesterday. They're losing 5-0. They're losing 15-0 to the Brewers in 2 games so far. I mean, that's like, it's and you got Scherzer on the mound tonight. You think and Carrasco was our best pitcher last year win wise. He won most games for the Mets, and he got shelled yesterday. So I don't know. Listen, it's baseball. It's 162 games. It's only game 6 or whatever game. Not no reason to jump off the ledge. It's a long season, and anything can happen. But with the handwriting on the wall, as far as I see, it's just going to be a lot more of what we saw last year, and maybe a little worse because you don't know how long Verlander is going to be out, and Scherzer looked like he's not the same guy that he was, 2 years ago, and they just can't score runs. So I don't know what they're going to do about that.
So you've been in any games this year? They haven't been home yet?
No, they come home on Thursday. I'm going out of town on Thursday. I'm going up to Utica, New York, to work at Fat Cats Comedy Club for a couple nights. So I haven't been in any games. And to be honest with you, Doc, I don't go until after maybe like May or June as the weather starts to get warmer. Because you go to these night games in April, it gets cold,
Yeah, it's very, very cold. I took my son to a game a couple of years back, and it was a doubleheader in April. It was brutal. The coldest I've
Yeah.
ever felt. Colder than a football game.
I was at I forget what year it was, early 2000s or whatever, when the Mets signed Glavin, and he pitched at Shea Stadium, our home opener. It was in April, and it was like 41 degrees with the wind chill. It was like 31 degrees. And
Wow.
we were tailgating at the home opener, and it felt like we were at a Jets game instead of a Mets game.
Yeah. So you've been a Met fan your whole life. You tell us your first recollection, first ball game you went to.
First ball game I went to was probably about. I wasn't that young, but I was. It was probably 1984, so I was probably about 12 years old, and my family decided let's do a family Mets outing and make it an annual thing, and we started about 84, and we'd get probably about 20 of us between aunts and uncles and cousins. And we'd go to Shea Stadium and they'd have a tailgate and everything. And that was my first introduction to tailgating, too, when I was about 12. I didn't know what it was. We'd go to the parking lot and, the men would set up the grill. And then my aunt used to have this big round thermos like that. And she used to boil the hot dogs in there with the sauerkraut and keep them in the thermos and then eat them out of it. They'd stay hot the whole game. It was like you were at a hot dog vendor. We didn't have to barbecue. And all I remember is the one aunt that did the liquor. Like they weren't back in those days. My aunts and uncles weren't drinking beer in the parking lot. They were making like highballs and scotch on the rocks, and they were drinking these people. I don't know how we got home safe, but they got us home safe. But so I was probably about 12, and then the next year, 85. The Mets became. We had Gooden came up, and we got Keith Hernandez, and we started to build that team, that 86 team in 85. So it became really exciting for me as a kid, to be 13, 14, 15, watch the Mets win a World Series, and through the 80s have those Mets. Those are my Mets, the Hernandez and Lenny Dykstra and Mookie Wilson and Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden. Those are my guys, as a teenager. So it's great memories for me, and I've been a Mets fan. My mother was a Brooklyn Dodger, so when the Dodgers left Brooklyn, that left the hearts of most Brooklynites. So they waited for a National League team to come into town, and it was the Mets. And so I was raised to hate the Yankees and love the Mets. And I personally, I don't really hate the Yankees. I just, some of their fans I don't care for.
What do you say about that, Bobby?
Hold on.
He's muting me.
I'm having an issue real quick. I don't know what happened. Hold on.
What about the first DH in baseball throwing out the first pitch the other night at the Yankee game? Ron Bloomberg, first DH in the majors.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. It's funny though. Like now, I don't consider there's no more National League as far as I'm concerned, because the difference was between the leagues, and now it's all the same. Now you got the DH in both leagues. The rules are the same. Everybody plays everybody now. Like this year, every team is going to play every team in baseball. There's not going to be, you don't see a certain team, and if they play in the World Series, oh, they never played each other. This is going to be exciting. So it's just going to be uniform. It's just going to be a baseball league. And I think in the next couple of years, we're going to start to see radical realignment where we're going to see the Mets and Yankees possibly in the same division, like the Knicks and Nets are, and the Islanders and the Rangers are. We may see that in the next decade because I think that's where it's headed. So, I laugh now when I hear them say National League. I was always a big National League guy. I liked everybody hits. I didn't mind the pitchers hitting. I didn't mind the pinch hitting instead of the DH. But now it's at least with the clock, the games are going quick again.
Yes. What do you think about the new rules, the no shift?
I don't mind the no shift so much. I don't mind the pitch clock. I like that. I don't love the you can only throw over to first base once rule or twice rule because you're kind of taking away an advantage to the defense there or the pitcher. Because once that pitcher throws over to the runner, to the first baseman twice when there's a runner on, he can't throw to first base anymore. Now the runner knows he can just go. So I kind of think you're taking a little bit of strategy away by that particular rule, but all the other rules I don't mind. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't like the no shift rule.
I love it. I love the no shift rule.
Why? Who's your favorite hitter, Bobby?
I don't know. Just from a Yankee standpoint, I'm tired of seeing Rizzo and Stanton. With this stupid shift, and they can't seem to get over it. Now you would think they're professional hitters, right? And a professional hitter should be able to, go opposite field if you really had to. You would think so, but I don't know. I think it's what it is though. Americans are offense oriented.
Right.
Like, we want to see high batting averages, home runs everywhere,
high scoring
doubles,
games,
triples.
right?
So when you see these players with these low batting averages, it kind of.
With the shift, I appreciated the guys who did learn, like McNeil on the Mets, who just said, you know what, get shift me. I'm just going to hit the ball the opposite way, or I'll bunt it up the third base line, or whatever it is. But the majority of the league wasn't able to do that, so it was an automatic out. But I kind of don't mind the shifting, no shifting. I'm either way for it. If they have it or don't have it,
What was that, Doc?
Yeah.
Oh, that buzzer?
The moose fell.
Oh.
So, Chris, ironically, my mom's older cousin, who I met maybe once in my life, was a former Mets pitcher back in the 70s and early 80s. Remember Pete Falcone?
Oh, wow, really?
So I actually met him once, and I just never became a Met fan. Again, I don't hate the Mets.
I don't hate the Yankees either, and I don't hate all Yankees. What bothers me is certain arrogant Yankee fans. They have no reason to be jealous of us. And
no,
you're not one of them, but I'm saying,
we had Steinbrenner all these years. We had Steinbrenner spending all kinds of cash. Now you got Cohen, right?
Now we got Cohen. Hopefully it'll be better spent, and he'll do something to, to put another couple of bats, or encourage the GM and the manager to bring the kids up earlier.
So how much earlier do you think? Right away, Chris?
I mean, why not? Bring them up now. What's the difference? Get their feet wet. If you got to send them, one or two of them back down, you send them back down for a little while. Right now, but Beatty or Batty, whoever you say his name, the third baseman, he's really hitting the ball well in AAA or whatever it is, and they say he's ready to come up, and he performed okay last year when he was up in the majors. So I wouldn't mind seeing him come up, and the catcher Alvarez. I know they want to baby him because they don't want to ruin him because he's really a special talent. And last year when he came up, they threw him, to the Wolves, and he couldn't hit. But he will learn to hit, and I say bring him up now while there's no pressure. August comes, and you're in a pennant race or at least a wild card race. There's going to be a lot of pressure on those kids. Right now, there's no pressure. It's early on. Get them up here as soon as you can.
How did they perform in spring training? Very good.
They performed pretty well, and the other kid, I think his name is Vientos. He was up here last year for a little while. He performed really well in spring training, and he's performing well in the minors now too. So they're saying bring him up, and he's like a sort of a middle infielder kind of player.
So you think a Milwaukee team that goes to back-to-back shutouts on the Mets You think that's a team that you could go to the Caesar Zap, just put $5, win the World Series? This is a good team, the Milwaukee team.
Milwaukee should be a wild card team. For $5, you should bet anybody to win the World
Yeah.
Series. I mean, it's only $5. You're talking about $500, then you got to really place your money, on a smart bet. But how many people are gonna be betting the Jets to win the Super Bowl if they get Aaron Rodgers, right?
That's right. Well,
So
I'll tell you, I
It's
bet
not
you
going to
that.
happen. He's not going to do anything for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is not going to do anything to give.
we'll save that. We'll save that for our late August show.
Yeah, Chris Monty.
He's going to go out. The guy spent his whole career in Green Bay, right? He's going from the absolute smallest media market in the world to come to New York with all the flashing lights, and he's a single guy. He's gonna go nuts here.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Let's let it happen. As a Jets fan, I want to see it happen because with all the pieces they built so far. But we'll save that for after baseball season.
So Doc, before we get to our we're getting closer and closer each week to our busy summer season, right? We got to find a sports book to sponsor us, right? I mean, I'm not a sports bettor myself, but I know you guys are, and you guys can plug them and we'll get some little income on that,
I think that's a great idea, Bobby.
I don't bet sports as much as I used to. I bet more. Me and Doc are horse guys, so
that's what I'm looking forward to. Your horse show.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that in a couple of weeks. That's coming soon because at the end of April, beginning of May, we got the Derby. So
actually,
yeah, first weekend in May.
First Saturday in May, yeah.
Hey, actually, you know what, Doc? All right. So last time I was at Villaroma was what 2 weeks ago, right? So after I left, packed up, went to the casino, went to Resorts World. Lost my shirt, but besides the point. So I'm sitting there, I'm playing 3-card poker. Right next to me is a TV going. There's a TV right there. You got you're in the middle of March Madness. You got a sports book at the end of the casino, and they're showing college baseball games on the TV. I'm looking. This place is nuts. Put on the god March Madness. That way people.
Who's in the know?
So
no
maybe
one's in the know.
So maybe that's the people we target to be our sponsor, because they're doing something wrong there. If you have a casino where March Madness is going on and you're playing college baseball games that no one cares about on your TVs inside the casino, there's something wrong. We can fix that.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and they brought up their profits by when they opened the sports book in New York, they brought up their profits by 30%. And where they were down to where are all the people? So at least that picked them up, the sports betting.
And I don't know how it affects Vegas because I remember years ago when I was a younger guy, all my friends in our 20s and 30s, if we were still single, we'd make that week of the Sweet 16 and the Final Four, we'd make a week of that to go to Vegas, and because you can only bet sports in Vegas back then, and that would be let's go to Vegas for a week so we can bet on the games and watch the games and and go out there and have a good time in Las Vegas. So that had to really put a hit on them now that we have the sports betting in the East now.
So you were out in Vegas to talk about Vegas real quick, Chris, before we get back to MLB. You were out there with one of my good friends, Jeff Norris, and performing out in Vegas. And tell us about that.
We were out at the South Point Resort and Casino, and that was actually 2019, right before the world ended. and we haven't been back since because they're just trying to get their reestablished and stuff like that. They want to bring us back out there. But Jeff and I did a show called The Cleanup Crew, and it was basically clean comedy for 75 minutes, 80 minutes. We did a 2-man show at the South Point, nice 450 seat theater in the resort, and we sold out both nights that we were there. We did a couple of radio spots that week, and we did a talk show that was broadcast throughout the hotel. They film it in the theater. It's almost like a Johnny Carson Tonight Show setup, and that was a lot of fun. Me and Jeff had a great time out there for when we were out there, and and hoping to get back. And we took that show also to Florida the following actually the previous winter of 2019 as 2018 turned into 2019 in January, February, the beginning of 2019. We were down in Florida doing a couple of theaters on different weekends with the same show. And then we brought it to Vegas. So that was a lot of fun. I hope that me and Jeff get back. I got some shows coming up in May with Jeff out in New Jersey. So hoping to see. I can't wait to see him.
And of course, you'll be here at the Villa Roma on April 15th with Jimmy Sturr, the famous Jimmy Sturr.
And the Polka Frenzy.
Yes.
All the Polish Americans will be out with their red on and doing their polkas. It's a great crowd.
April 15th, that's normally tax day, but it's a Saturday. You're going to be out here. You're going to have some Polish sausage and some comedy, some great comedy.
Kielbasa and comedy.
Yeah.
And a lot of beer.
And Bobby Blackjack, where will you be on April 15th?
Not there. Not there. Polka's not my, not my.
Well, I won't be doing a polka, Bobby. I'm just going to be telling jokes in between the polka so they can take a break from dancing.
I'll probably be out here in Jersey somewhere doing whatever.
Well, let's talk MLB right now. Right now, both New York teams down. Tell us, Chris, who to win the division in your Mets division? You think the Mets win the top spot?
No, I don't think so. If I had to choose right now, I would say Atlanta probably will have the edge when all's said and done, like they did last year. I think, like I said, it's early. You can't judge off 6 games, how your season's going to go. We remember many years in the past where the Yankees started off very weak, something, and then came on and, went on tears. And so, a season isn't defined by April baseball. But I would say, to be honest with you, with the way that right now the roster is constructed for the New York Mets, that they'll be fighting for a wild card spot. I think they're good enough, to win 90 some odd games, and unless they can, add a bat or two, something significant, or one of the younger kids comes up like we spoke about earlier, and catches fire. But I think it's got to be Atlanta. It's got to be the favorite, probably. What do you think?
Well, with the schedule being so even this year and everybody playing everyone, it's going to be much different than stacking up against a really weak team in years past. So how much of a difference do you think that makes in the schedule, in the number of wins that a team gets this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see, because this is the first time they're doing that. Everybody plays everybody, and you don't know. In the long run, you can have it might turn out to be the same in certain areas where you can have, a bunch of weak teams in the American League playing, getting beat every time they go out there against National League teams. I mean, personally, maybe I'm biased because, like I said before, I don't think it's the National League or American League anymore because now it's all the same. It's a universal DH and everybody plays everybody. But the National League, quote unquote, seems to be a little bit stronger than the American League. The American League's got a strong hold on certain teams, and then everybody else is just super mediocre. Where in every division in the National League, it seems like you got 1 or 2 really strong teams. So, but I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Not being able to beat up on the Marlins and and the crappy teams. And listen, the Philadelphia Phillies, who are beating the Yankees tonight, they're off to a terrible start. But look at them last year. The same thing, and all of a sudden they get all the way as far as they got. So it's all about getting in to the dance. Once you get invited to the dance, anything can happen in October, right?
That's for sure.
I think Chris has a good point there because, like you said, I mean, I'm a Marlins fan too. So we have no hitting like.
Wait a minute, back up. How are you a Yankees fan and a Marlins fan?
All right. If you're down here in my man cave, I do have a little.
Spoken like the guy from New Jersey with no real team there.
If you look, if you're down here in my man cave, on the other side of my studio, I do have a ledge of my Marlins stuff I collected through.
I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying, how do you?
Here's the story. In the early
Why, so
'90s.
you jumped on the bandwagon in the '90s when they
No,
came
I
into the league
guess
and they got good?
I mean, I'm always gonna be a Yankee fan, right? But I guess in the mid '90s.
The Marlins beat them in the World Series.
I know. That's and my
Who do you root
family.
for there?
And my family, I was unspoken. I get the.
You can't be a Marlins fan, a Yankee fan, and diehard for either, and they're playing each other in the World Series and
I
go,
know.
you know what? I'm
That
happy
was
no
rough.
matter who wins.
That was rough. So back in the '90s, when they first started, hey, we're announcing a new franchise expansion team, Florida Marlins. That next day, I went to Champ Sports, bought the jacket, bought the hat, bought the keychain, and I started following them because I thought it'd be cool to follow a team from the beginning. Which back then it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Now every year it seems every league, a certain league is always adding somebody. Last year was the Seattle Kraken, right? And now they're talking about NFL going to Europe and playing an international division. That's gonna be a disaster, but another story.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was cool to like a team that started from right from the ground. Not just joining a team, not just hey, the Blue Jays won. I'm a Blue Jays fan. No, I thought that I always like Florida, and I like the Marlins. It's a nice little fish. So I have my little tribute to the Marlins down here in my man cave. That's my story. So, but my point was, you're right, Chris. The Mets and the Braves don't have the Marlins and Washington to beat up on all summer because it's a little more spread out now.
Right.
It's going to make it a little harder.
And the same thing with teams in the American League that had those those doorsteps they can just beat up on. The Tampa Bays and whoever it is. I forget the Angels.
Yeah, exactly.
No, both good teams. The American League, very tough. American League East, there's maybe was only one bad team last year.
Yeah, the Red Sox.
Yeah, and Red Sox are going to be tough again, right?
Yeah, they're not going to be that good. Baltimore, supposedly Baltimore is supposed to take a step back this year until they really start fortifying their team, and next year is the jump off. Because last year they surprised everybody, with a 500 record and
right.
And I think as a Yankee fan, we mentioned this a few times on the show, Chris. As a Yankee fan, I think our biggest headache is going to be Toronto. They're pretty stacked.
Yeah, Toronto, and as always, Houston. When you get to the dance, it's always Houston that's there. You got to figure out a way to beat Houston.
That's right.
So, Chris, I have a couple questions for you from on the entertainment side of things. Like, how far have you say you traveled to Las Vegas? Like, where's the farthest you traveled to do a gig?
Just in general, or by a certain way?
In general, or have you been to LA? Have you done gigs out there?
Yeah, I've been to LA. I actually did a showcase. I didn't do any clubs out there. I did a club out there, but I didn't go out there to specifically work for like a week at a club. I just went out to LA in I believe it was 2008, 18. No, actually 2017. I believe I went out to Los Angeles to do it. I was out there for 3 nights and I did a couple different spots. I was showcasing for a couple different agencies. So LA is probably the furthest. Cross country, Las Vegas. As the Mets just gave up 3 more runs, and it's 10-0. It's 10-0 again.
Oh boy.
Another back-to-back 10-0 losses does not look good for the Mets to start the season. But yeah, so probably Los Angeles. I'm trying to think. I haven't been out of the country other than Canada, to perform. But other than that, probably LA and Las Vegas.
Now, do you find obviously on the East Coast, what your I love your act, with the whole Italian thing, because we're all Italian and we've all experienced what you talk about on stage. Now, how do you find that? Do you do the same act out there as you do here, or do you more tailor it towards?
I mean, when I'm in Villaroma, I might focus more on some of the Italian material because it's an Italian resort and there's a lot of Italian Americans there. But in general, most of my stuff is I think broad enough for every audience. So I tend to I'll tend to do most of that stuff, but not there's certain stuff that's just East Coast stuff, sarcasm and stuff like that where we just are better at understanding it. Well, not that they don't understand it, but they don't laugh as hard as we do. But But a lot of places you go, like you can go out to the West Coast and there's people there from Jersey and from New York, and Vegas is a little different. It's more like everybody from all over the world goes to Las Vegas, so that's a place where you kind of gotta just kind of do more general stuff. I do a lot of autobiographical, so when anything I do about like the wife and kids and family and stuff like that, that seems to hit home with any type of audience,
Hmm.
So I
And
keep it there.
who who um who have you worked? Anybody? I mean, anybody really famous you work with?
Well, I
Anybody?
used to be with Joan Rivers. I toured with Joan Rivers for a couple years. I've worked with Paul Reiser. I've worked with John Panette. God rest his soul. Um, I'm trying to think. I've worked with different groups, many different groups that Doc knows that probably came through Villaroma, like the Duprees and the Drifters and uh, Johnny Maestro and the Brooklyn Bridge. I was very
Yeah.
friendly with those guys, and they used to have me open for them when they were working locally in New York and New Jersey. Um, so yeah, I worked with a couple really nice acts. I opened for BB King once, and that was a great thrill.
Nice.
You know,
I get
um,
it.
yeah, he was a really cool guy. I got to see him perform, and I'm trying to think of. I guess you know what? It's funny. But this is a sports show. When I meet people like that are celebrities and singers or comedians, I don't really get to. It's nice. I get excited to meet them and hope that they're nice. But when I meet sports heroes, I get more nervous. I get more like excited. You know, I've
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
I've worked with, met, and became friends with the great Clark Gillies from the New York Islanders dynasty teams of the late '70s, early '80s, and he passed away last year, unfortunately. But I became friendly with him. I became friendly with Marty Lyons. I did a show last year. I was hanging out with Boomer Esiason. So like when I meet like some of the sports heroes that I grew up watching, those make me more excited. Like, oh, guess what? I'm meeting so and so. So I met Joe Frazier one night. He was at my show, smoking Joe Frazier, and that was a great thrill. And we hung out until they closed the club at 12:30, and we hung out till 3 in the morning drinking Heinekens and just talking about boxing. It was fantastic.
Nice.
You know.
Now I also noticed. Again, we're a sports entertainment show here. We do everything. Doc and I and Steve and the crew. I noticed you have you've been pitching at this TV pilot that I see on your Facebook page. What's the word with that?
Oh, the one with Jiggle the Handle.
Chris Roach, right?
Yeah, that's Chris Roach's actually. That's his vehicle. That's his project with a guy named Joe Pomerico and a girl named Christine Walker. Joe Pomerico's wife. She's an actress. He's an actor and a filmmaker. And Chris Roach. They kind of co-wrote this script, um, and they had asked me to play a recurring role on it. We just filmed the pilot. We had a premiere for it last Saturday night out at Theater 3 on Long Island in Port Jefferson, Long Island, and it was sold out. And we did like a little comedy show before the premiere, and then we showed the premiere, and it got great reviews, and the night was just a great success. So they're trying to sell that idea or that show, to a Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or CBS. They had a guy there from NBC actually who actually came out to watch it. So they're trying to sell that. So they kind of just like self filmed it. They did a really, really professional job on it. And I wish them the best, and I hope that it gets sold. And if it does get sold, I hope that we can all be a part of it. We can all be in it. But it's a funny. It's like a dark comedy. It's a dramedy, if you would, right? It's about a guy whose sister gets divorced from Wisconsin, coming back to New York to live with him. He works at a pizzeria. Unbeknownst to him, his bosses are all connected. They got a little mob side action going, and he's kind of gets caught and twisted in the middle of the mob ring where he doesn't really. He's out of his realm, and on top of that, they're all being surveillanced by the FBI, and nobody has any idea that that's happening. So it's kind of a mangle of stories going on, and it's really entertaining and funny, but dark and kind of suspenseful at the same time. It's a really cool show.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I guess last question on entertainment side, Chris. Now we all have our idols. We have people we look up to. What comedians do you look up to? Like you're in awe with, or maybe you've worked with them, or maybe you like to work with them. Anybody that really comes to mind that like someone you kind of like model yourself after a little bit?
Doc Holliday.
Doc Holland.
Yeah.
That's got to be a reality show, right? We got to start filming every week this summer.
Doc's the best. No, I guess as a kid I used to love, and Bobby might not remember him. Or you might. I don't know how old you are, but Doc will remember. As a kid, I used to idolize Red Skelton. Remember Red Skelton,
yeah.
Doc?
Oh yeah.
And then a lot of the older comics like Jack Benny, and then I became a big fan of George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, that whole clan, Ray Romano. There's so many that I really respect. Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock. So I try to kind of do my own thing, but you can always you can't help but always learn from the greats, and you can't sometimes you'll hear yourself doing a bit that you wrote, but it sounds in vain of another comedian that you idolize, and you don't realize you're writing like they would because you just idolize them and you watch them, So those are some of the names that I grew up watching and I respect, and some of the new guys today. There's so many great guys in comedy and girls in comedy today. So I got a vast. I love stand-up comics.
And we welcome Stephen J to the show. Stephen J, welcome aboard.
Gentlemen, how we doing? Thank you for allowing me to come a little bit tardy after I just got back from my sports broadcasting class. Tuesdays are always my long days, so a little winded, but of course glad to be amongst a lot of friends and even a new guest here on All
Yeah,
Points.
we finally got Chris on. We finally figured out the
Finally,
little
we've been
issue.
talking about it. It was more like a legend at this point. We were just going about it.
Yeah, the legend that couldn't get on because apparently
week.
my phone wasn't working
Yeah.
for this program. But
Yeah,
thanks for having me, man.
It's of course I'm a lot older than I look. So here's my Eddie Murphy story. I can shake my head. When I was a teenager, I worked at remember Herman's Sporting Goods? Anybody remember Herman's Sporting Goods?
Herman, sure.
Okay,
Yep.
so one of the biggest ones was right here in Garden State Plaza in Paramus. I live right close to there. So I'm a junior, senior in high school. I forget what year exactly. And you get a little lazy that time. There's maybe there's a guys are hanging out somewhere. Maybe there's something going on, and maybe a girl you want to meet up with or something. So I call out sick one night from Herman's, only to find out the next day that Eddie Murphy and his entourage came in to get sneakers.
Oh.
And I could have been there, and who knows what could have happened there, right? That was I was right in like delirious time when he was like top of the world. Yeah, he grew up he lived in Englewood for a long time, which is like
Eddie's from Long Island, and then he moved out. Yep.
That's my Eddie Murphy story. Like I just missed, and that's my whole life seems to be I just missed. I just missed. So Steve, we're kind of just talking a little entertainment here. So we're gonna get back to some of our. This is part 2 of our 3-part Major League Baseball preview. And we know Chris is as you can tell, a big Mets fan there. So we wanted to get some Mets fans on because Steve and I are Yankee fans with Doc. So we got Chris today, we got Stephanie tomorrow night. So real quick, all right, kind of the mix of sports and entertainment. Now I'm sure you know this, Chris. Billions is that character is supposed to be Steve Cohen. You've heard that, right? So I wonder if that's going to interplay at all because, if he's that ruthless, Steve Cohen in real life, he's going to put an all-star in every position, right? That's his human nature, according to the show.
I mean, we hope so. But he's a Mets fan his whole life. He's a multi-billionaire, and he's like, listen, there's no reason why we shouldn't be relevant every season, and that's nice to finally have an owner like that. That's how the Yankees were when George was here. At least they tried to be. He screwed up a lot during the '80s, George Steinbrenner. But for the most part, right, George wanted to win every year, and he went out and did whatever he got to do to win. I don't think this Yankees ownership regime is the same. I don't think they have that. They're just happy filling a stadium and getting to the playoffs. Where I think Steve Cohen is going to just keep trying what he's got to try. Because he said when he took over the team, within 5 years, I want to win a World Series. So here we are in year 3. Let's see what happens. I don't think this is the team that's going to win a World Series unless some major changes happen with some bats. But in the next couple of years, I have nothing but positive hope. I mean, how could you not? I just wish Steve Cohen would buy the Jets.
Uh,
Just said that the Mets aren't going to win a World Series, but positive hope, right? Isn't that what the Mets are
Well,
trying to do?
this year, I mean, come on. I mean, as long as we get in, you have a chance. But this, in reality, we're our two-star pitchers are at the end of their careers, and we can't score runs. That's the same problem we had last year.
When will Verlander be back?
I don't know right now. I don't know if you guys heard anything. It was kind of a day-to-day thing. I don't think he's going to be back this week for opening weekend.
Yeah, he said if it was October, he'd be playing, but I mean, why risk it now? Very beginning of the season. So
Right.
if it was, yeah, so he did say, if it was October, he'd be playing, but now just because it's the beginning of the season, take it easy. So right now, I think it only missed 1 or 2 starts, but that can't come soon enough, especially with Mad Max giving up, I think it was back-to-back home runs.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if it's back-to-back. I saw back-to-back, but he definitely gave up at least 6 before they got him out of the game. 6 runs. They're losing 9-0 in the 8th.
Man, the Brewers. So this is what, 19-0 in 2 games against the Brewers?
That's right. 19-0. So listen, like I was saying before you came on the show, it's game 6 of 162. No, you know how it is, man. No reason to panic. If this was the Yankees and they started off 0-6, every Yankee fan would be ready calling in to the radio stations and, fire Boone, and it's a long season, and it just started. It's not like football. Football comes, you lose 1 or 2 games, you go, man, the season could be over already.
Yeah,
But this is baseball, man. In a month from now, the Mets could be in first place by 5 games, and you're feeling good.
Yeah, I mean the Phillies are ready to burn down Philadelphia.
Yeah.
At least Phillies fans are by an 0-4 start, and they kind of, I guess, they have very short-term memory considering of what happened last year, where they
Right.
were
I said the same thing
at the halfway mark, and just you got to hit your stride at the right point. It's just like the NCAA tournament, right? It's not about how good you are as soon as you got there. If you're getting better each game, and I'm sure Doc had a few bets on that tournament since we just brought up the NCAA tournament, but it's a game of runs.
That's it, man.
Like all sports.
You had to take Connecticut there. The big boys. More than one big boy. We discussed it for a few weeks.
I said that in probably our first episode we had. We're discussing March Madness. And I said UConn was going to be there. But, I should have put my words to the pen. I didn't pick UConn in my 2 brackets. And I probably should have.
You did mention them. You mentioned them as a dark horse.
Yeah.
I kind of rolled my eyes at that, but Bobby Blackjack, you might have to go back to the tape and post that somewhere. You can brag about that a little bit.
Yeah, I just knew they were. I know I watched them play once live. I cover Seton Hall, and they just looked like a tournament team, and it just proves how really good the Big East is. Because they lost 8 games in the Big East.
The Big East.
Hey, Florida Atlantic put on a show. Florida Atlantic.
They had a good run, man. They had a really good run.
Who doesn't like the Cinderella team?
I was actually Saturday night.
And San Diego was a Cinderella, too.
Yeah. I was actually Saturday night in the gym where Nick Boyd played high school. They had a little fundraiser, and they had a big screen TV and some food and some drink, that's your annual fundraiser to watch that, that Final Four. But it was extra special because everybody there was like, graduates and of the school that he played at and were in his gym and everything. And what heartbreak when he lost that, in the last second. And he was actually the guy defending on the play too.
Oh,
that was even worse.
That was a tough loss. I don't know about the second time out. I don't know if I would call that second time out. Out. Just precious seconds there. That's too many seconds to give someone to go down and just get it 2. At least make him shoot a 3. You've been all fouling and coming back down and crazy.
A couple bad passes there in the second half, and what are you gonna do? I mean, the sorry thing is, like, UConn's now considered to be a blue blood school, like Carolina, like Kansas, like Duke, but schools like Florida Atlantic, it's not every year they're gonna get there. I mean, look at Gonzaga for how many years. They were in the first couple of years they were that team. Now they're there every year. They're a top team in the country, but they can't crack that that championship.
Right.
Hey, you got it. That's recruiting. You got to do some recruiting. That'll open up recruiting, but then you'll see that coach. He'll be gone to some bigger, better place. He did a great job with those, those guys.
So Chris, why we have you? Why you're on the air with us? Who else do you root for? We know you're a Met fan. We see we have a Knicks hat. I see
Knicks, Mets,
Islanders.
Jets, Islanders, and Knicks, and college. We welcome Patino in because I'm a St. Johnny's fan.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Really? Congrats.
Yeah, Queens kid. All my cousins went to St. John's. I didn't go to college, but if I would have went, that would have been my school. So, yeah, we were all Johnny's fans back in the '80s when Mullen was there, and the great rivalry with Georgetown. So, it's been a really long time. It's been a really long drought. But yeah, grew up Mets, Jets, New York Islanders. I was a child during the dynasty. I was taking the Islander games since I was 8 years old. Um, and the Knicks, they were the Nets were never really they were a Long Island team for a while, the Nets, but they weren't really. They were ABA for a while. They were almost like a minor league basketball team. Not that they aren't now, but
Julius Irving.
that's right. That's right.
That's
the ABA.
Doc J. And,
That's right.
So, but yeah, so I was always a Knicks fan. So yeah, those are all my teams. I don't hate on the only teams I won't root for. I won't root for the Rangers because I'm an Islanders fan. I don't hate the Yankees. I'm not going to sit and root for the Yankees, but if like the Yankees were playing against Atlanta Braves or something like that in the World Series, obviously I want the Yankees to win. But I don't hate the Yankees, and I kind of find myself rooting for the Giants in football as well. I live and breathe with the Jets, but the Giants are like my second team because I watch them every week. I watch both teams, so I don't hate the Giants. I hope they win. Just if they're playing the Jets, I root for the Jets. But other than that, I root for the Giants.
How ironic now! It seems like every other week in the NFL, the Giants and Jets play at the same time now. I think we grew up.
I think that had a lot to do with them both sucking for a long time. So I think that might change now because you're going to see, especially if Aaron Rodgers comes to gangrene, you're going to see, and the Giants on the upswing with this great coaching staff they have, and I think that they're going to be more, 4:00 games, Thursday night games, Monday night games, Sunday night games. You're going to see, especially if Aaron Rodgers comes to the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers comes to the Jets are going to get at least four primetime games just because it's Aaron Rodgers.
And because there are a lot of good matchups too. I mean, they play both Super Bowl teams. They play the Chiefs. They play the Eagles. Even they
play the Giants this year. Giants and Jets play this year.
That'd be a great Sunday or Monday night game. I mean, that's just one of the worst things. As a football fan, just getting all these 1:00 games. It's at least it gets it out of the way so you can watch the primetime games with no headaches or anything. But it's going to be different. I mean, longest drought now that the Kings are in, and it's been I think since 2012 was the last time the Jets were on Sunday night. And
the Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2010, right? Since the last
those Rex Ryan years.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. It's been a really long time, and it's rightfully so because they're awful. But on the other hand, for me, because of my profession, because I'm a comedian. And 9 out of 10 times, I work Sunday nights. I do shows. So I actually love the 1:00 Jet game because I could watch the game, spend some morning time with my family, do what I got to do before I get ready for my show, watch the Jet game, get ready for my show, go to my show, come back, whatever. Now, Jet's going to be playing more 4:00 games, more 8:00 games. It's going to hinder me on where I got to do my show and then kind of miss the games. I kind of like, when the Jets are good, I kind of like to see the games because you only, it's 17-week season is very quick, So, but I rather have them be good than worry about my schedule.
Now, Doc, do you remember what game was the last Jets Sunday? Well, I guess their last prime time being Sunday night. This was on a Thursday. It was Thanksgiving. That was the last time they were on NBC. Do you remember what game this was, Doc?
I do.
I think Mike White.
No.
It has something to do with the backside of an offensive lineman.
Oh, butt
Oh,
fumble.
with the
Butt fumble game. That's right. That
Yeah,
was
the
last
fumble game
on
against New England.
NBC.
the quarterback for
Right
the
on
out of
Thursday.
USC, right?
Mark
Oh, yeah.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yeah.
Sanchez.
Nice.
You want to hear something funny? I was at the Borgata Hotel, right? The show was 9 o'clock. Show used to be 9 o'clock, and I was at the Borgata Hotel that night. And so I get to the dressing room at 8:30, pour myself a drink. Show starts at 9. There's a guy going out, then I'm going out. We're doing like 20 minutes each. It's a casino show, right? So they don't like the shows. They don't like the shows more than an hour and 10 minutes because they want the people do the comedy show and get the people gambling. So I go to the dressing room, got my drink, gonna watch the Jet game, put the Jet game on, and the guy's done. I get ready to go on the wings. It's the game just started. It's like, it used to start maybe back then it was 9 o'clock it started, right? So or 8:40, whatever. Game starts. I go out. I come back. It's 0-0. I come back. It's 21-0. 21-0 New England in the first quarter. And then they're replaying the butt fumble. That's all they're doing is replaying the butt fumble. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, take us off. Why are you putting us on prime time?
Probably the most famous Jets game my dad and I watched. I remember being a kid.
Heidi Bowl.
The Heidi Bowl.
Really? Oh, I was just joking. It was really.
And Steve, you weren't even born yet, Chris, huh?
I wasn't born until that was 68, right?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't remember the year, but
that was a Super Bowl year.
Unbelievable that they're up by. Oakland scored 3 touchdowns after they went to Heidi. They just stopped the game.
Yeah. So what happened was
movie Heidi.
Yeah. So the game was on. The Jets. The game went past 4:00. Right. Back then, the networks had a schedule, and they kept to the schedule. So at 4:00, that network was scheduled to show a Heidi movie, and so they just went to the Heidi movie. And all of a sudden, the game got close. At a minute to 4:00, the game was within 1 score, and the Jets were just holding on, and they just boom, and everybody in America was like, or at least everybody in New York and New Jersey were like, "What's the game? What happened? They shut the game off." And they said, my father said he ran to his car to listen to the rest of it on the radio.
It came across the ticker on the bottom when they did lose, and we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like Reggie Miller coming back against the Knicks that year with all those shots.
Don't remind me.
Oh, unbelievable. And then
now I got to watch him doing Wendy's commercials.
Yeah, that's right.
Just want to take a hamburger and slap him in the face.
Yeah. Sad news in the basketball world. Just in the Nets now in danger of being eliminated from the playoff picture with a big loss at home.
It's not the playoff picture, the playing game. You're trying to avoid the playing game. You're trying to be a top 6.
That's not bad news for me. I mean,
top 6 seeds.
Yeah.
Good. Let him get out.
Chris, you're a Queens guy. How about Eddie's Sweet Shop?
Eddie's Sweet Shop is still there.
Yes. You been?
How do you know Eddie's Sweet Shop?
Metropolitan Avenue.
Yeah. That's my
parlor.
Yeah, my butcher. I still go to the butcher over there, even though I moved about 20 minutes east of there because we have a house now. We had an apartment when I lived over there. But my butcher is on Metropolitan Avenue. If anybody's watching in the Queens area, Metro Meats is my butcher. Great old school Italian butcher shop. Full case counter, all kinds of catering they do, deli, everything. I'm going there on Thursday to pick up. My lamb and all my stuff for Easter on Sunday because I'm having people over and I'm going out of town. But Eddie's Sweet Shop's still there and they're still doing good. So that's how do you know, Doc? How do you used to go down there?
The son of Eddie's Sweet Shop that runs it, I know the parents. They have timeshare up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rose.
Soda fountain and everything. It used to be old fashioned, old fashioned kind of nickel and dime store.
I think it was in a couple of movies too.
Yep. Yeah, they're pretty famous. They're still there. They're still doing good.
Very nice.
All right. Hey, so we mentioned the Jets. So, Chris Monty, we got to get your opinion on this upcoming season because I mean, for a lot of Jet fans, it's Super Bowl or bust. Is that, in your opinion, where it's just they have to make the Super Bowl if they
If
get Rodgers?
I mean, if they get Rodgers, me personally, you got to get to the championship game, don't you? I mean, you can't just be a wild card team and get knocked out in the first round. I think they're good enough. A lot of people we have a really good defense up and coming and young, and a lot of people said, "Oh, defense isn't that good because they choked against Minnesota and they choked against Detroit." If they had an offense, the defense wouldn't have had it on the field that long in all of those games, and that would have made a big difference, I think. So I think if you get an Aaron Rodgers, the defense is going to be like, hey, they're going to be able to take more chances and play freely more because they know our offense can move the ball on anybody. So we're not going to worry about it. With Zach Wilson and Mike White, they couldn't score. They just couldn't score. As good as Mike White was, better than Zach Wilson against Minnesota, they couldn't put the ball in the end zone, and they should have won that game because they outplayed the Vikings. I think you should definitely get to a championship game. That's what I would be expecting, barring any unforeseen drastic injuries.
Well, right now on the Caesar Zap, they kind of agree with you, Chris. They picked the Jets 6th to win the Super Bowl. So Kansas City, 49ers, Bills, Eagles, Bengals, Jets, then the Cowboys, then the Jaguars.
And I'll be honest with you, Doc, if we get Aaron Rodgers, because even without Aaron Rodgers, I wasn't scared of the Bills. The Jets beat the Bills with Wilson, and if Mike White doesn't get split in half in that game, they probably can beat them in Buffalo in that game. But Mike White, that's when he got crushed. But with Rodgers, I'm not afraid of the Bills at all if we get Rodgers. As long as he's healthy, yeah. And our line, I'm sure if they get Rodgers, the line's going to be, you got a couple guys coming back this year that are young off injuries, but they're going to have to get a few extra pieces on the offensive line. But yeah, that's what I would say, man. I would say definitely got to go championship or bust.
Well, you only have at most a 2-year lifespan with Aaron Rodgers.
You hope. That's why the Jets don't want to give up first round picks for him. They're like, listen, you want to take our first round pick because the Jets picking 13th this year, and if they swap with Green Bay, be 13 versus 15. Fine, I'll swap that pick, but I'm not giving you my first round pick when Rodgers could play 1 year and then say I'm retiring, and then we just gave up all these draft picks that we could have helped improve our team with, and he's gone.
So Chris, who would you rather? A lot of I don't want to say speculation, a lot of grumblings that the Jets should just say, you know what, Green Bay, you played hardball for too long. Let's go after Lamar Jackson. Would you prefer Lamar Jackson?
No. If you get to the draft and this Rodgers deal isn't done yet, then they're gonna have to walk away from it and do something. But if you're going for Lamar Jackson, the thing about Lamar Jackson that I don't like is that he doesn't stay healthy, and he's a running quarterback. And we've seen all these run first quarterbacks; they don't stay healthy. If Lamar Jackson's on my team, does he make the Jets better? Absolutely. Jets probably still a Super Bowl contender with Lamar Jackson. But I don't know.
It's just something that I've heard a lot between, do they just, leave the whole Rodgers deal at the altar and go towards Lamar Jackson? Nothing that he's not a great quarterback, but playoff struggles, even with a team like the Ravens who constantly generate talent, who constantly have prime pieces. Now, does he have any wide receivers? No, he has one good tight end, but has not shown playoff consistency to play well. As Chris said, very, very injury prone. It'd be fun to watch him in New York for sure, but just, the Baltimore offense, that you could not have tailored a better offense for Lamar Jackson between offensive line, between just a solid run first and then run second offense. And even so, they haven't gotten that deep into the playoffs, and the Jets with, some of their offensive line question marks. I can't see Lamar being the best fit here. I think Aaron Rodgers, even 1 or 2 years, he gives us flexibility after that to evaluate the future. A lot of these deals where you go in for 1 or 2 years big, it's paid off. Look at, Stafford with the Rams so far, Brady with the Bucks. There are certain teams that you can look at where they go big on an older quarterback. Maybe Manning with the Broncos might not be the best because he was there a little bit longer than 1 or 2 years, but just deals like that, it's proven to work out well. So I'm going Rodgers first, even if you don't get him by the draft, the Packers have no one else that they want to deal with. No one else wants Aaron Rodgers. No one even wants Lamar Jackson. It just shows how comfortable all these other NFL teams are with their quarterbacks. So if they have one person that wants to get Rodgers, they'll do it. Go ahead and get next year. I think
And
it's
also that being said too, and I agree with everything you said, but also Rodgers, talking about Rodgers, he's the best fit. Yeah, I want him, but even him, he hasn't done anything in the playoffs. I mean, since that Super Bowl, it's been a long time. I mean, he was league MVP a couple years ago, and he was great. But we're hoping he wants to make one more run. You know what I'm saying? And he's willing to
Mhm.
say, "I'm going to give 2 more years to one more run. I want another ring. I want another ring." If he wants that, that's what we're buying when we're getting Rodgers, a guy that we hope can still play for 2 years and wants that ring and has that passion because he could come here, it could be a disaster, and he could just say, F it, man, I'm walking away. And then the Jets are stuck with Zach Wilson, who doesn't know how to play football, and you have to go start all over again.
Yeah, I mean, I gave plenty of good examples. The one bad example would be Brett Favre with the Jets. Sometimes whatever the Jets touch, it turns to you know what. So
He didn't want to be a Jet. Let's be fair about that. He didn't want to be a Jet. That was he wanted to be a Viking, and that was a bad move because the owner, Woody Johnson, wants to rub elbows with a star quarterback. He fought like hell to go out and get Brett Favre once he saw he can get him. The coach, even at the time, Mangini didn't want him.
the man genius.
They
No,
even
Mangini,
let Joe Namath go. They let Broadway Joe go.
yeah, but they let Joe go, and Joe had no knees left. He couldn't, he was done. He only played one more year after that anyway. But Joe was the whole 1970s for Joe was spent injured.
Yeah, we like Joe.
I love Joe. I mean,
we
come on,
love
Joe's
Joe.
legendary. Joe's God
It's
to Jets fans.
Of course. And with the whole Rodgers deal, I think the one thing that's kind of, I don't think anyone's expecting them to get a first round pick. I think it's more the contingency of, all right, well, if Aaron Rodgers plays in year two with the Jets, what do we give them? Is it, a third that turns into a second if he plays?
Right.
And or is a second that goes into a first? It's just all these different, what ifs and contingencies for, I guess, the second year that could be
Right, and then we
brought
picked up a
down by.
second round pick right now in the trade we made. So we have 2 second rounders, right? And we got
Mhm.
13. If they want to say to us, they got 15, I think. If they want to say, swap with us, give us 13 in the first round, and we'll give you 15. I wouldn't mind that. You move back 2 spots. The Jets are going to go for alignment anyway. But you're not going to give up your 13 in the first round and then
Yeah.
like a second round pick for him. This doesn't make any sense. So
Mhm.
the Jets actually hold the cards because worst case scenario, you know, Philip Rivers says he wants to come back. So
At this
and he's only
point,
40 and he's in good shape.
Hey,
yeah.
Mac
I
Jones is
mean,
available now.
you say
What's
Matt
that?
Mac
Jones?
Jones is now available to be for a trade.
Well,
Uh,
that's what they're saying. And now the rumors are that the Patriots might go for Aaron Rodgers, and so San Francisco's interested. But you know,
I'm sure Rodgers would have preferred San Fran because he was a San Francisco guy. He
he's
wanted
a
to go there.
California
He
guy.
was a
Yeah.
California guy. He wanted to go there, just like Brady. I mean, Brady, I think he really wanted to go to the Niners when he was a free agent before he went to the Bucks. I think now he was kind of hoping, doing 1 year deal with the Bucks, that he could have gone there. The 49ers were his team. He was a Montana Steve Young fan. I think he really wanted to make that happen, especially with Shanahan at the helm. But just they're fine with their young quarterbacks and on rookie deals and build it up all around them. But what you said, Chris, about Rodgers, I mean, I can't make excuses for him considering that he's 40 years old. Do you think that just after they drafted Love, he really just had nothing? He wanted nothing to do with Green Bay in terms of just he kind of lost some passion or respect when they drafted Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
that's going to happen to every guy. There's always going to be a young guy. You're going to get to a certain age, and there's going to be a guy that's going to be they got to get your replacement. And
Drew
but
Bledsoe.
yeah, he's been
Bledsoe,
honest about it though. I
Brady.
mean, but, Rogers said he goes, listen, they drafted my replacement. They've been nothing but good to me. I had my time there. I'm ready to move on. He said that, and that's just the way it is. I mean, it's been like that with everybody. With every long term quarterback that's great. You're gonna eventually it's gonna be over, and you have to get the next. The problem is the Jets haven't had a quarterback since Joe Namath. You know, I mean, we had a couple good years with Vinny Testaverde that gave us
yeah,
hope, but then injuries, and there's always something bad that happens. So I don't know, man. I hope they just pull it off and we can get the ball rolling because before you know it, man, it's gonna be spring. It's gonna be not spring training, but it's gonna be camp. And it's time to see what we got because
Well, I got the solution for you, Jets. He plays for the St. Louis Battlehawks of the XFL. A.J. McCarron, former Alabama star, he's lighting them up in the XFL. I'd like to see him as a New York Jet.
Well, I mean, that's a great story with McCarron, where, I mean, he had deals to be a backup quarterback, but he just said, I'm at the age now where, my kids kind of know what I do, and I want them to see me play football. So instead of just holding a clipboard for some random team, he wants to start and just play football and have his kids watch him, be the star of a team. So you got to respect that for an awesome story for A.J. McCarron. But, I mean, Bobby, do you really think that Mac Jones, since we're kind of talking about the AFC East, do you really think that Jones is on the move after they signed his college OC?
And that's what's surprising. But what I read before was that he wasn't very happy last year, and he sought out advice from beyond the Patriots family, which is a big no-no for Bill Belichick. And once you're on Bill Belichick's bad side, it's like the dark side of Star Wars. Once you're on that dark side, there's no coming back.
There's no coming back. But with that note, fellas, I'm gonna have to bid you good night.
Right.
Check out a little early from the show. I have father duties to take care of. I got little ones that need to be put to bed, and my wife needs to do laundry in my man cave area.
Sounds good.
Well, appreciate you coming on here tonight, Chris. It's been a real pleasure, and it's great to have you here.
Listen, I'm gonna come back as much as I can. So
Yeah.
next week I'm working in the Poconos all week long, so I won't be available. I'll be doing my show at 9 o'clock at night. But in the following coming weeks, I definitely will make time to be available, and I definitely want to put together with Doc a nice horse racing show for Kentucky Derby week. So maybe we could do something on that Wednesday before the Derby.
All right.
Nice.
Sounds good.
And if the weather's nice enough, I will set up in my outdoor man cave so I can smoke a cigar during the show.
There you go.
And maybe a little cognac.
Maybe a little cognac, a little cigar. I'll have a trumpeter playing the call to the post.
Yeah, very nice.
Sounds good, Chris. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Have a great night. Everybody have a wonderful Easter and enjoy the weekend with your family. Don't fight.
Yep. See you in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. See you in Villaroma, April 15th.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Chris.
Take care, guys.
All right, the great Chris Monty.
Monty. And
I was thinking, guys, you know who really wins in this whole Aaron Rodgers thing? Single women from the age of 38 and above. I'll tell you why. Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets, right? He's single, right? We know, we kind of see who he's been dating. Zach Wilson likes older women. So there's a good chance in those bars in Morristown, which there are plenty. Morristown, if you've ever been to Morristown, it's a cool little town. It's like a little Hoboken. I've DJed there a million times. And heck, I've DJed there Friday, Saturday nights and have had Jets in my audience. Or you see Jets walking by bar hopping. So they do hang out there, during non-game times. So can you imagine going to the, I forgot with their big steakhouses there and seeing Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson fight for the same 40-year-old woman?
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, you got to be able to share. I know those New Jersey women, they're all over you. So you got to be able to share and spread the wealth, all right?
Yeah. I'm looking for someone up there now because, I'm there all summer, and we'll see what happens.
All right, noted. We'll see what we can do on that note.
So, Doc, real quick, and Steve, I want to run this by you guys real quick.
Yeah.
So, this woman I met, we kind of chat and trying to figure out maybe when to get together and go out, have dinner or something. She mentioned to me the other night that she was at this thing called Rock Bingo Radio Bingo. So basically, it was for charity. So basically, it's like instead of you calling numbers, or you would call numbers, Doc, but each number would represent a song, and the bingo sheets are filled with song titles.
Okay.
So you win that way. You win by, so I could see somehow where we can collaborate and do something like that. And supposedly, I sent you a website to look. I have to look at it myself, rockstar.bingo or something, where you actually, I mean, I don't know if we can really pull this off, the three of us or whoever ourselves in the next 2 months, 3 months, but they have like preset templates. I guess if we pay a certain fee or whatever. But I think it'd be a pretty cool, if done right and done correctly. That could be almost a night up there where it kind of breaks up the week.
Oh yeah. I did before Sports Star Bingo, where you call the name of a sports star and the player's number. If you know the player's number, you mark it on your card. But the problem is, some people in the bingo audience here, they have trouble making a line of 5.
They don't know Joe Pepitone, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
They don't know Joe Pepitone's number. They're just trying to figure out how to play 4 corners bingo.
Got a little message from Chris. That was fun. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. That was great
And
to have you on the air. Yeah, I can see something like that. And the only problem, and again, I've done bar bingo myself, right, with music and stuff. And the only problem with that is that, now we're in the age of Shazam, right? You just pick up your phone and anybody can pick up a song that quick.
Mhm.
That's only hindrance, and I would have to see how they get around that, because, I used to do bar trivia, and, every so often you get a question that, you got to play like a music clip of, and it's so easy for someone to say, "Oh, that's okay. Here's my Shazam. Oh, that's who it is. Okay."
And as a big radio guy, a big sports talk radio guy, also Saturdays 1260 the score in Syracuse. You might hear Stephen J for these next couple of weeks, but
Right.
this plug. But in terms of sports radio, one of the things that like the internet and cell phones has ruined in terms of that, during every Super Bowl week when they do the Super Bowl trivia over the radio, the Super Bowl contest. I mean, the big thing was,
People
WFL.
record them. They record they research everything, and then you're right. Yeah.
Because now you can just ask, oh well, who was the Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 8, and just look it up in 2 seconds. Oh, it was XYZ, and you're giving away Super Bowl tickets to someone who's just on their phone cheating, and now they've had to kind of get cute with using audio now, which just isn't as fun. Even so, I mean, people cheat like that, and that was the big thing, Super Bowl week when everyone's at Radio Row doing Super Bowl contests. So that's one of my grievances there when it comes to not only like Shazamming and also just kind of looking up stuff, because it's sometimes ruins the sports radio aspect, but just to get that off my chest, I had to. But yeah, so radio bingo, we're gonna have to look at
Rockstar.
that.
I mean, I was doing some quick research. Like Rockstar.bingo is a site you go to, and there's membership, whatever. Some memberships do almost everything for you. You print out sheets. Not sure about the music clips though, because it was something something I thought would be interesting up there to kind of break up the week a little bit.
Well, we had Singo, which was bingo and karaoke mixed together. And if you win, you sing. And if you didn't want to sing, you pay part of the winnings to someone that from the pool of singers. So Singo, pretty popular.
Really?
Yes.
Now, would anyone walk out with the singer stunk? Were there people that ran for the hills if the singer was off key or something like that?
They would actually gong them. Gong show.
They win, and then they'd start booing even louder when they started singing.
The hook.
Get those tomatoes out. Yeah, so Doc, I think tomorrow on the menu, as well as we'll obviously do some more baseball talk. You said, who is our guest for tomorrow?
Stephanie Flom. She's a Mets season's ticket holder.
Really?
Influencer and internet celebrity. She's
okay.
A character.
Maybe she could be our celebrity influencer for the show, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe she can find some 40-year-old women for both Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Maybe
I think she could.
Anywho, so we'll obviously be talking baseball, but Doc, what we got to talk tomorrow as well, because it's just right around the corner, just 48 hours away.
The Masters.
A tradition unlike any other, so we may have to sneak a little Masters talk in there. Maybe
Oh yeah.
we'll grab a pimento cheese sandwich and a sweet tea and talk about everything in Georgia for this upcoming weekend. The tea times and the pairings are out. Some interesting pairings there. Usually for other majors, what they try and do is they try and make like super groups. They try and add, if they could, they just like for I think it was the Genesis, they had Rory, JT, and Tiger. The Masters, they went a little different, whether that was on purpose or not. But there's no really like one big super group that you have to keep your eye on. I believe Tiger Woods, yeah, he's going off at 10, 18, and he's with, Victor Hovland and Schauffele. Those are some good pairings, but there's not really one pairing when you go like, oh my goodness, I gotta watch this. So, but that's good considering we got a whole spread of stuff. I believe the first tee time is at 8, and the last people go off at 2. So it'll be quite a weekend at Augusta. And it looks like kind of a 2 or 3 horse race going into it with, of course, John Rahm, who's on fire, Rory, who's always knocking at the door but could never get through, and of course, the man who's probably the heavy favorite, and Scotty Scheffler, Doc Holliday's Masters pick
Yes.
last year.
Scotty Scheffler.
The pick last year for Doc Holliday that paid off.
Love the name. It's a golfer's name, Scheffler. It just rolls off the tongue.
It just sounds like a winner.
And it sounds like I heard bad weather this weekend in Augusta.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fairly rainy. I hope we don't get a Monday Augusta because that would be very, no one likes a Monday's Masters where everyone's at work and you can't really get to the TV. But hopefully they can work around it. Maybe get just some early tee times. Doubles 9 on the 10th and the first hole. I think they did that in 2019 when Tiger won. It rained mostly, all day on Saturday, so they had to really, do 2 days in one on that championship Sunday, if my memory serves correct. But just one of the best weeks, 10 days in sports. We just finished opening day. We just finished the NCAA tournament, and now we got the Masters. Playoffs are right around the corner for the NBA, so no better time for All Point Sports here on Blackjack TV.
I tell you, I was in Augusta like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, for WABA championship weekend. Let's just say the airport in Augusta is the size of the golf clubhouse.
Really?
Teterboro Airport, which is like not that far from me, where the Yankees fly in and out of, and all the celebrities and businessmen fly in and out of, is bigger than Augusta Airport. So I would love to see that airport like a Masters weekend, because when I was there, I was in awe how small this place was.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably jam-packed now.
It's kind of like the Super Bowl too. A lot of people fly private to the Masters, and stay in Augusta, Georgia. Don't go too far out because there's a buzz in that town for Masters weeks and all the golf fans. And I believe it's a lottery, right, to get Masters tickets.
I believe so. Yeah, it's a toughest ticket in town.
Oh yeah, and I think there are even some for sale, Doc. And my memory serves correctly, I believe the number I saw with the cheapest you can get was maybe like 1,200.
Wow.
It's that might have been for a Sunday ticket, but man, worth every penny though if you can get there. No cell phones though. I don't know if I could be able to bear, a whole Sunday being around the whole beauty of it without having a cell phone in front of me.
I can get 2 tickets for Thursday, $6.95.
All right. What time you want to leave, Doc?
Yeah, that's right.
Bobby can come down and do the weekend bingo, right?
That's right.
I'll fill in.
There we go. We might need to just place a couple parlays tonight and try and get as much money as we can off that.
But Doc, I think that's a great idea. I think we should somehow approach Resorts World Sportsbook and just use them, use their graphs, use their charts.
Oh, for the sports betting, for sure.
And maybe get some get some money out of it.
I mean, we know that Doc Holliday loves Caesars, so if we can,
I'll have to stop saying Caesars at that point.
Too. So, how much more can he be promoting Caesars? I think we got to get on that. That's
Steve. I was mentioning to the guys before.
I'll switch over Resorts World.
Resorts World, you can do whatever. Whoever gives us the most. Love a bidding war.
So, Steve, I was mentioning the guys before. Last time I was there a few weeks ago, I went to the casino afterwards, lost my shirt and everything else. But I just immediately
Run out of cash?
I just lost. I mean, I won the last time I was there, so I'm even.
Shirt up?
I'm even, Steven, right now. So what caught my eye was that this is Sunday of that would have been Sweet 16 weekend, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's Sunday of Sweet 16 weekend, right? And on the TVs there, LSU versus Baylor college baseball. I'm thinking to myself, you guys have a sports book right there, and you're putting college baseball on TV.
That was a big game, Bobby.
Oh, jeez. I mean, what a swing and a miss on marketing and having people run to make bets if you had the game on all the TVs instead of baseball.
And you said you were at Resorts
World, yeah.
I mean, like Doc said, there could have been a whole lot of maybe LSU fans there, and they wanted to check it out. Who knows?
I don't know. It was just you missed the boat.
But someone's got to be in the know. Someone missed the ball. They dropped the ball there.
Mm-hmm. And hey, Doc, you'd be very proud of me. During, I think it was the first game on Saturday, the San Diego State game, when they were down at half, I believe they were plus 350 maybe to win the game. They had some pretty decent odds. So at halftime, I slapped a bet on San Diego State, and of course they pulled it off. So, and then I didn't bet after that. Usually I'd half of me wanted to go, all right, we got some cash, let's go. Game number 2 for UConn. But hey, that was a good little call by I'll pat myself on the back for that. I don't always
very nice.
Money, but yeah, San Diego State down at the half. They the odds looked a little interesting to Stephen J, and just put not a crazy amount on there, but hey, it paid off. So learn from the best. Learn from Doc Holliday, of course.
No, when I was there in the gym where Nick Boyd played his high school ball, and we were up 1 at that point, and that shot was made, we're all crying, and Steve was celebrating.
Yep, pretty much. One man's. Yeah.
I know. Guys, you know what? I think we should maybe cut it short today because we do have a show tomorrow.
Of course, we
don't want to expound all of our energies and sports and our thoughts on today. We have another great show tomorrow. Stephanie Flaum. Now she's not week 31. That's my weeks, but I know
33
because she came back when her best friend won the talent contest.
Yes, Katie Masters.
Katie Masters, yes.
Dad Rick and Steph, they qualified for the bocce finals. They came up for the bocce finals representing week 33.
Week 33, the I believe the record-setting horse auction week.
Oh, yes.
My memory serves correctly, week 33. So,
Armando Belli.
Oh, yeah. So it's going to be a good show tomorrow. We got a whole lot of more baseball talk. It's, storylines every day with baseball. You got to love it. And we'll throw in, of course, some Masters and, of course, Doc Holliday, Bobby Blackjack, Stephen J on Blackjack TV. That's at 9 o'clock tomorrow, channel 114. And we'll have plenty more to talk about as always.
Good seeing you.
Great night. We'll see you tomorrow, and I will get the show set up. I have another game tomorrow, baseball, another broadcast. So I'll get the game set up, and I'll send the invite to Stephanie so she can start getting it out to her friends.
All right, cool.
All right, guys, be good. See you tomorrow night.
Buonanotte.
Buonanotte. Have a great night.